Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Pop Culture Talk. We got the team here, Ken, Tyler, Chris, and we're going to be talking about the two versions of Captain Marvel in this week's episode, or I should say this month's episode.
Yeah.
I wish we were doing this weekly. We should just quit our jobs and just do this all the time, right?
That'd be really
Yeah, how much are we making off of this?
Can you guys just pay us tons of money and we'll just do this full
Well,
time?
they don't. All they have to do, really, all they have to do is just watch our videos, like, comment, and share, and help proliferate them, and then maybe a little bit of feedback. What can we do better? What can we do to make this a little bit more interesting?
Yeah, and actually to that point, Tyler, if you guys do like, comment, and share our videos, you'll be entered into a raffle to win this Pop Hero Wonder Woman glow-in-the-dark version. It's a Entertainment Earth special. And in our other video, if you go over to our comic video and do the same for that, there's a Superman version of that Pop that we will be giving away. So we do appreciate all the support, and but we obviously want more people enjoying the stuff and commenting and hopefully contributing to us to find out how we can run a better show. So anyway, with that, we won't waste any more time. We're going to get right into it and talk Captain Marvel, because we haven't talked about it in about a month. Actually, that's not true.
We've been talking about it for a while.
We've been talking about it for a while.
Recording it.
Yes, exactly. So all the information's so fresh in our minds right now.
You can absolutely blame that on Producer Man. I will take that bullet.
So we love you, Phil. Don't worry.
I think he's been demoted from producer man to producer boy.
Producer boy.
Producer boy.
I'll take that PB.
He doesn't get a cape anymore.
Got to earn your wings again.
Yeah, you just got to see the tighties.
He's got to wear the underwear
Just
over
to-
the pants.
To get the tights. Yeah.
So, last month when we did this, our friend Tyler here had some choice words about.
Well, don't say choice words.
They
It makes
were
it sound
choice
pretty.
words.
I had my skepticism, thank you, and I well met, I would say.
I would say as well, yes.
Which I have to say is actually kind of refreshing, because usually, universally, we are very pro Marvel Cinematic Universe here. Actually, pro Marvel comics as well, for the most part. And it's nice to actually have a little bit of a differing opinion at times about some of the product that they're producing. So, Tyler, would you like to share with us your thoughts of the movie?
Of course. So, as I might have stated in the past, very recently in the past, I have seen a couple of films that Brie Larson has acted in. Didn't really take so much from those films, and didn't have that much of an expectation from her coming to this one. I will say that I was very excited when they revealed that there would be a Captain Marvel added to at the end of this phase of the MCU, and I was excited to see, as she is a huge flag bearer moving forward in the comics. I was glad to see that she was going to be here in the MCU as well to take up the mantle after the old guard is moved out. And so I was very excited to see what they were going to do with it. When they first cast Brie Larson, I didn't know what to think of it. I kind of took a look at her and I was like, I don't know if she's going to be very good in the role. But she's here now. And frankly, my personal opinion is that I don't really feel like the character was well developed. There are arguments that have been made very recently that might be due to the short amount of time that she has been in the cinematic universe. She's only had one movie. I made the counter argument that there's a lot more character development in other superhero movies.
I love how Tyler's speaking for me right now.
Yes,
because he heard every
I
argument
am.
I threw back at him.
And I'll give you your time back. But my point is that I still feel like they could have done more with the character. I felt like she could have done more with her character. I believe she was at least nominated, if not won an Emmy, for her role in, I think it was the movie called The Room, not the Tommy Wiseau movie.
I think that was mentioned last month. Yes,
Yep.
that's right.
So she's apparently a very good actress. I've seen her in a couple other films, and again, I wasn't overwhelmed, but I wasn't underwhelmed. She did well. I feel like that there's a lot more that could have been done with this character. From what I understand, Endgame isn't supposed to be all about her. It's supposed to be about the Old Guard and how they're cleaning up the end of their stories in this final conflict with Thanos. And I definitely believe that she's going to play a major role in the downfall of Thanos, as she also does in the comics. So, but I'm excited to see how they can develop her character and how she can take Captain Marvel to the next level. And that's what I'm going to say.
Okay. Well, my opinion was that the Captain Marvel movie was a solid B, and in its delivery. Brie herself, I know there was some opinion that she had a lackluster performance. We've had some other friends of ours who will go nameless for the moment, although his name has been mentioned in the last video that we did, who said that basically every other actor in the movie was better than her, which is pretty harsh when you're the lead.
I don't know, that cat wasn't that great.
The cat, yes, the infamous cat, which was one of the shining moments of the movie for sure, for surprises.
Yeah, it was fun.
But Brie herself, I thought, did a fine job. It was no Kristen Stewart-like performance. I think she's playing a Kree character. She's not Kree herself, but she believed that she was Kree. And she's adopted this personality that mirrors their culture, which is not a very expressive. I mean, it's basically, you think about her as being the Marvel version of Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman being Amazonian culture, very stoic, very serious, all business, militaristic, and I think that contributes maybe to people who might enter the movie with some skepticism to think like, oh, she doesn't have much range, or whatever it is, and because you're not really seeing a dynamic performance. But I really think that's all within character. And so, of course, it's up to Marvel to put stuff around you to kind of bring up that level of personality and charisma, right? And to offset it. And I think they do that very well in this movie. You do have the moments with, I think, the strong supporting cast. It's great seeing Agent Coulson come back onto the big screen. A big fan of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So you have that. You've got the younger, obviously CGI.
De-aged.
De-aged.
Really well done.
It was really well done. To see these guys, de-aged or whatever, and seeing Sam Jackson taking on a more prolific role, because he's largely been absent or just very nominally present in some of the more recent Marvel Cinematic movies.
I think his biggest role was in was it either the second, was it
Captain America: Civil War, maybe.
Yeah.
Where he had the famous street scene there, which was an excellent scene where
that was pretty much
he gets attacked and
his biggest scenes was in that film.
Yep, absolutely. And so I think for its part, I think the movie very ably gave us a picture of who Carol Danvers is and what her capabilities are, which I think is very important if you're not a comic reader to go see this movie before you see Endgame, because I imagine even though it's a movie about the Old Guard, she's going to have a very prolific role within that movie in this giant ensemble cast. So, don't expect to see the most incredible Marvel film. It's not going to be, I know for some it was Black Panther. People love Black Panther. For some it was, for me, Captain America: Civil War was a fantastic movie. I loved it. Avengers: Infinity War is an incomplete movie. Yes, Brandon, it's incomplete. Don't judge it. Anyway, I just name dropped him. I did it. Sorry.
Yeah.
There's your Easter egg.
But we don't know which Brandon we're talking about.
Which Brandon, right?
Yeah, one of the two that ever.
Now he'll have to come onto a show.
Yeah, we're calling him out. Maybe we can impose his.
You hear
face
that,
somewhere.
Brandon? We're calling you out.
We need a Brandon avatar in the show.
You just get cardboard standee of him.
That would be awesome. He won't sit here and debate us on it. But anyway, he has
We'll get-
very strong opinions, and he would be quite a live wire out here. So maybe
We'll get
one
an
day
audio,
maybe we'll work
audio
on
of him
it.
Yeah.
and get a standee
Yeah.
to stand behind you guys.
Secretly record him as we argue over it.
Absolutely. But, you know, I think that Captain Marvel, I know your opinion was that, you know, you've got all these other characters who have shown a progression in their stories, in who they became. You know, they started from point A and got to point C with their characters developing and their stories and their and even their personalities, right? And how
Yep.
they fit in. And with Carol Danvers' character, she's only got this one movie, and it's very difficult to capture that all within one movie. And you know, but hopefully we'll be able to see that going forward if she's going to be as big a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
She's basically the Tony
know.
of the next phase.
So perhaps we will get to see that. Maybe we'll even get to see a little bit more about her origin. You know, who she was. You know, like we got to see little glimpses of who she was as a little girl, and
Right.
you know, then she's in the Air Force, and then what comes after. You know,
I'm a little excited to see what they're going to do with Monica Rambeau moving forward.
yeah.
A couple little hints there. Oh, maybe when I grow up, I'll get a ship.
Monica Rambeau, a.k.a. Spectrum.
Oh,
Yes.
Hey.
look at that!
So
I
haven't
actually,
brought
seen
the
the movie.
comic guy.
Hey. I haven't seen the movie.
But you already know a little bit of a hint, maybe, of what's to come.
So, interesting point
Yeah.
towards Endgame, before we get off of the Marvel movie. So we went to go see Shazam today.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
we got to see the latest Endgame trailer.
yeah.
One thing that I thought was really interesting, did you notice that Thanos was nowhere in that trailer?
Yep.
Like,
It was
he- like,
entirely focused
at all.
on
Completely
just-
absent.
He's completely absent from the trailer, and even on the Infinity War trailers, like you had, you know, obviously it was a build-up. And we knew Thanos was a bad guy, but I thought that was very interesting that we didn't see Thanos at all being represented as the big bad in this movie, which leads me to believe that Marvel's kind of flipped the script on us, so to say, that maybe Thanos isn't the big bad of this movie.
I mean, towards the end of the Infinity War, we did kind of see him walk off into like kind of, the Soul Realm with the younger version of Gamora.
Yep.
Maybe he himself was wiped out by his own snap, and now he exists in the Soul Realm with her. Who knows? From what we've seen from the Endgame trailers, it seems to be more a film about how the Avengers move forward, considering everything that has happened.
Yeah.
What if there is no, like, unsnap?
Maybe there isn't.
I
Maybe
mean,
this
we know
whole
some
movie isn't
characters-
about like
we know
defeating
some
Thanos.
characters are coming back.
Yeah.
So there should definitely be some revival in some sense. Some characters that
Like
will be
we know
resurrected.
Spider-Man's coming back,
Yep.
obviously with his Far From Home movie coming in, and that's supposedly Far From Home is supposed to take place like immediately after Endgame. From
Is
what
that
I've heard?
really?
From what I've heard.
Okay, so I've not heard anything about that.
So there has to be some way that they're bringing these characters back, but maybe it's not necessarily undoing Thanos' snap.
Yeah. So we'll see, which would completely destroy certain Brandon's complaint about Infinity War. There's no consequences. Of course, there's consequences. That's what the whole MCU is about. It's consequences.
You have been called out.
But again,
I
death
mean-
in comics, no
Civil
consequence.
War is literally because of the consequences of Age of Ultron. So I'm throwing it out there.
Yeah, I'm just saying death has very
Yes.
little consequence.
Yes.
In Marvel.
No, well, I mean,
in general.
it's
Yeah.
comics. You just don't have issues with that.
I
They
think-
died. Nah, they'll be back in a couple issues.
Death is like very.
Here's the thing,
Very
though.
loose
Death
and
is a
fun.
character in Marvel, so like, she actually has all the say of who lives or who dies in the Marvel universe. So it's like, oh, you want this character back? Here you go.
I don't necessarily know if she actually kills people, She's like an embodiment of death. I don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
kind of.
because like Thanos is like killing people off as like a
Well, in the
Contact,
comics,
yeah.
it was 'cause
As a
he
means to
wanted
woo death.
yeah.
He
He's
wanted
like
to be
trying
like, hey.
He's like, this is him courting death. It's like, hey, I killed all these people.
Hey, Death, check this out.
So he's-
half
Look what
the
I did for
universe
you.
gone. What's
So
going to do?
Thanos is just a nice guy confirmed?
Yes,
Yeah.
good guy Thanos.
I
just
killed
trying to
all
get a
these
date.
people for death. Why won't she notice me?
He's this hopeless romantic.
Well, thing is, Marvel cinematic movies, they've done a good job at really not spoiling much in trailers.
Yeah.
They cut those trailers
Oh, not only that, they straight out lied
With-
to us.
Yeah, they do. They've lied to us several times in trailers.
total feints, you know?
Yeah,
and so
We were going to get Hulk in Infinity War, didn't you know?
Yeah, and then we didn't.
Then we didn't. We got a
Right.
whole lot of nothing from the Hulk. Scared, like a little
But it was kind of fun.
Which
watching
I thought
the
was-
Hulkbuster.
the
Yeah.
sissy Hulk.
I did enjoy that part of the storyline about how Hulk is totally in fear of
Kinda
Thanos, you
Thanos.
know, and
Kinda
won't
got
come out.
performance anxiety.
Yeah, exactly. I thought
Yeah,
that was
1 in
really
10.
good. But
It happens all the. This has
One-
never
one-
happened before. I swear.
1 in 1 Hulks have performance anxiety, so
something tells me Bruce Banner will be able to coerce
the Hulk to come back
the
out.
Hulk to come back out in this
Would you
Endgame
do
movie.
it for a Hulky snack?
What would a Hulky snack be?
I don't know, like a whole taco truck?
What do Hulks eat?
That's Deadpool's
Everything?
Gamma radiation, right?
gamma radiation. Yeah.
Just in
So
the
basically,
beam right
any
down the throat.
microwavable meal.
It's a microwave churro.
Just lives off those like 10-minute dinners.
Yeah, he just nukes him real fast and gets him right
No,
out.
I don't want the
He
microwave
just
meal.
eats
I
the
want the
microwave,
microwave.
guys. Don't beat around the bush. He just eats the microwave.
Here.
Anyways.
Oh, I see you.
Yeah.
You finished your dinner. Let's split your dinner. Okay, you take the tray. I'll take the mic. Anyway,
Getting off topic.
we're way off topic now. That's
Who's
a lot
ready
of
for another
silliness.
Hulk movie?
So, anyway, perhaps we should transition now into the other Captain Marvel.
Yes. So for
You're scratching your heads at home? Yes, Shazam. So for those of you scratching your heads on this video going, what do you mean the other Captain Marvel? Well, there is a little bit of history here that we should probably explain. Actually, I'll turn that over to you,
you're
Ken,
like
if you'd
comics
like to.
history buff.
So it was sometime in like the 1930s. Fawcett Comics put out their version of Superman.
Yep.
Meaning they called him Captain Marvel. This predates Marvel Comics by a good like 30 years. And Captain Marvel was hugely popular, and the reason is because unlike Superman, whose alter ego was adult Clark Kent, this Captain Marvel's alter ego was young Billy Batson, who's a kid, he was a child, and this really struck a chord with the majority of the comics audience readers at the time were kids.
Yeah.
So they really gravitated towards this Captain Marvel character, and for a while, Captain Marvel was even more popular than Superman.
Yep.
But fast forward, Fawcett Comics basically is going under. DC buys up a bunch of their intellectual property, and along with them, they buy up Captain Marvel. So in the 70s, DC's planning on re-releasing Captain Marvel under his own solo series and bringing him back into their world. And they're planning on calling it Captain Marvel. Well, Marvel Comics got wind of this, and they immediately trademarked Captain Marvel and put out Captain Marvel, the Marvel character, in order to hold that trademark. So DC was then forced to rebrand their Captain Marvel as Shazam. And thus we have Shazam and not Captain Marvel.
Right.
There we
DC.
go. That's
And there's your history.
And now you know.
so. Because I was always curious, why would DC have a character named Captain Marvel? I mean, that was
Well, there
kind
you
of a
go.
confusing thing, right?
Because they bought it.
So,
Yeah.
because they purchased it, exactly. So, at any rate, so yeah, we had the pleasure of all of us and then some going to see this movie
Yep.
tonight, or this afternoon, I should say. And so, what did you all think?
I kind of felt like his performance was a little bit hammy. Like, I felt like they could have done more with I'm sorry, that was the other Captain Marvel. I thought it was great. I thought it was hilarious, absolutely hilarious. I will say that towards the beginning of the film, some of the dialogue was a little bit like hammy, cringy, kind of like. It didn't sound too authentic. But then you get through that, like that, and it was definitely scripting that was the issue for me. I felt like that could have been written, like the dialogue, a little bit better. But you get through that, and as the story develops and unfolds, it's actually a very fun
Isn't
ride.
it kind of like drinking beer for the first time? You kind of like, what is this? Like, and then all of a sudden you just like, it's not that the taste
You
changes.
spit it out, and then you go back and buy snacks and sodas.
Well, it's not that the taste changes. It's just you acclimate to it. Because I don't think the dialogue got any better as the movie went on.
it didn't.
Maybe I stopped listening
I think
to
you
it
just
and-
grew accustomed to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, maybe.
You know,
maybe.
but I think that was part of its charm in a way. You know, this is your DC has been criticized heavily for producing dour,
Dark, grim.
grim movies that do not exactly light the senses on fire. All right, like they
It's
don't.
not really uplifting.
There's
really.
nothing. You know, you walk out of it like, wow.
Do you want to feel both pumped
Like-
and depressed at the same
Yeah.
time? DC.
We got
Yeah.
something for you.
Exactly.
DC
So-
stands for Dark Corner. I'm
Dark-
convinced.
Dark corner, dark cinema.
Dark comics.
cinematic
But-
universe.
Yeah, you know, and so I think this has been like basically the perfect vehicle for DC to break out of this. I mean, they started doing it with Aquaman. Aquaman had
Actually, I'd even stretch
had-
to say Wonder Woman got out of the darkness a little bit. And then you got a bit more
A little
of
bit.
Aquaman.
A little, but it was
I-
still kind of in that. I would still say it's still filmed in that kind of like that low light, kind of like blue gray tones.
Yeah, I'd give that.
That Zack
Yeah.
Snyder palette of movie filming.
Exactly.
Very
I mean, it was a
dark.
more quality film that they'd been producing for a while. But yeah, I think Aquaman, was the first step away.
Very colorful.
Going more, more colorful. So I mean, yes, from an aesthetic standpoint, more colorful, vibrant movie, but also just from dialogue and content. Of course, in any comic story, there's tragedy, but the tragedy was I think a little bit more downplayed,
Yeah.
and more of the personality and the almost like just a lighthearted type of delivery. You know, the character's
nice.
delivery was lighthearted. There was plenty of humor in there, and I think they started to drifting away, or they realized that this is not a winning formula. At least when they're looking at the Marvel movies, which are just even in the most grim of storylines, they're still infusing it with such comedic moments and lightheartedness and like character and appeal. You know, that they realize, oh, this is the formula. We maybe should kind of go more this direction. You know, and so Shazam now is now like taking it to the nth level,
Yeah.
basically. You know, totally campy, totally lighthearted,
Yeah.
total, laugh a minute, basically. You know, and I got to say, what's the name of the actor who plays the adult Shazam?
He does such a good job.
Zachary Levi.
Thank you. Zachary Levi does such a great job playing that superhero version of Bigger.
Yeah.
Or
a
Big.
yeah.
Sorry.
Just a 13-year-old
Tom
trapped in
Hanks,
Superman's body. Yeah.
Exactly. And they even have the nod to that movie Big in one of the scenes when they're basically, he's fighting the bad guy and they're running through this mall and they run over the piano keyboard.
Yeah.
One scene, it's like, see what you did there, you know?
Clever.
And, but tonally just a fun movie to watch. I mean,
Enjoyed it.
it's not going to be some Academy Award winner for sure,
No.
but
There's
it's
some
a
bumps
good
that are
time,
just
and that's what you go to the movies for. You go to the movies to get entertained,
Yeah.
to just break from reality a little bit, unless you'd like to just see Schindler's List every time you go to the theaters.
I mean, I could watch
but
Schindler's
like
List.
That's a good damn good movie.
it's a
It is
great
a good
movie,
damn movie.
but sorry, I don't want to be beaten over the head with that kind of a,
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
every time I go to the
Make
movies.
comic book movies fun again.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Make comic book movies fun again. Thank you, Phil.
Yeah,
That
like
was-
Spawn.
yeah, interesting.
Hellboy.
Hellboy. Oh, I'm sure that's a future topic.
Oh yeah, real
I
soon.
will gladly talk about that with you guys.
I will say my only criticism of the Shazam movie, like you, I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was really fun. I think if I was younger, if that was like 12-year-old Ken seeing that movie, he would have absolutely ate that up.
Yeah.
Like, that's, basically your wet dream as a child. Or at least mine.
I want to be a super. Well, I mean,
Deep thoughts
it
with
went
Ken Lee.
between wanting to be a superhero and wanting to ride an Arcanine.
Yeah, it's a toss-up.
Yeah,
But I
be a
think
Pokemon Master or Shazam.
my my only complaint with the movie was that so there were 2 points of drama for the movie, right? You had his life as a foster kid.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert here, by the way. We know it's opening weekend, but we are going to talk spoilers. I just want to throw that out there.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Just want to throw that
So,
out there.
anyways, there's one was the drama set around him being a foster kid,
Yep.
and dealing with his foster family and fitting in as a basically an outcast.
Yep.
Which I thought was a more interesting source of drama. The other angle was the bad guy, and I thought it was just the most generic, uninteresting, evil villain I've seen in a long time. I mean, do you remember what his name was?
I
No,
don't remember.
I don't remember his name.
Do you remember what his motivation was?
His motivation was that he was told as a
Ridiculed
he was
as a
first,
child.
As a child, he's ridiculed by his dad and older brother as not being man enough.
Yeah,
not
he's
being
worthless.
good enough. And then he gets brought by the wizard Shazam to see if he is worthy of taking on his powers. And when he's almost tempted to take this, this weird sphere thing that would give him powers of, the
like
dark
the dark
enemies,
side
he's basically shown
He's
to
tempted
not
by
be worthy.
he's tempted by the dark side.
Yes.
Yeah, which I mean, it's not even really clear that that's supposed to be a temptation. Like we know that it is, but for a little kid, where he's being told he's going to have all these powers,
It's
and all
whispering
of a sudden,
to him all
it's
these
whispering in his ears,
promises.
like, "Oh yeah, come take this thing, and you'll get all that power." He's like, oh, "Okay, yeah," and then the wizard's like, "Nah, kid, you're not good enough. You'll never be good enough," and he casts him out. And this is the motivation for him to find Shazam once again and take the power by force, after decades. And it's just like,
Yeah.
It wasn't very interesting. I even thought
was
that
not.
his like goons, like the 7 deadly sins,
Yeah.
they weren't entirely well animated either.
they were kind of glossy,
Yeah,
but
like it's
not
very
the
obvious.
worst. Like,
Not the worst. They weren't like they weren't awful.
wasn't
but
like
it was very,
wasn't like Eris level, or like.
It was very obviously these guys are CG'd.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it was
Oh,
very evident.
absolutely.
Although that one scene with what I assume is gluttony, because it doesn't actually identify who is who.
Oh, the giant
Understand.
mouth.
But he's just
Yeah.
gapes open and he's like running. I'm like,
That was kind of freaky.
Yeah, he
But
was
he was so far in the background that you
Yeah.
he was kind of.
Yeah,
out of
I mean, it
focus anyways.
was a real like kind of Resident Evil-esque moment right there.
Yep.
But there were some scenes that were just like when he gets thrown into the same booth that you see him and his mother playing darts
gives him
in
the
very beginning.
tiger.
And there's a girl hiding there with her dad. And she's all frightened. He hands her this toy tiger
Yep.
that he wished his mom had won him when he was a little kid. And he hands it to her
Yes.
and says, hold on to this nice and tight.
Everything's be
Close your eyes
okay.
and everything's going to be
Everything's gonna be
okay.
okay.
And it was just such a touching moment.
It was a movie with heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
when they
a
brought
lot
the
of
whole
heart.
family in, that
was
got me.
great.
That
was
part, yeah.
fantastic.
Yep.
I was, again, Brandon came with us.
Yep.
And he was telling me how he suspected that there would definitely be a sequel, and he even suspected that eventually the whole Shazam family would be brought in as well.
Yep.
But when he saw that they all showed up towards the end of the first film, he was like, he said it was the most exciting thing about it.
So-
seeing all of them come in.
So you're referencing this, but for our audience, if you're into spoilers, you don't care to see the movie, you just want a little synopsis. Basically, he shares the power of Shazam with his entire family, his foster family. And so they all become basically different. They almost reminded me of the Power Rangers.
A little
Quite
bit.
honestly, it was like
Yeah.
Power Ranger versions of his character. So like that, none of them were wearing. Excuse me. I fell apart again. Sorry. I'm blithering this. All right. So
I've
anyway,
fallen and I can't get up.
but at any rate, when they all seem to share, or actually, I think each one of them got like a different piece of the power.
Yes.
Is that how it
Kind
was?
of.
I'm
I
not
feel
sure.
like they all had the same powers, but some of
them were
enhanced.
were enhanced for individuals.
Yeah, or they like just knew how to use certain powers
Better
just
than others, yeah.
Yeah. And his youngest sibling was probably the most endearing.
Oh,
my
Darla!
gosh.
She
So
Darla
Oh my
is-
gosh, she was so cute.
And hilarious in her Shazam form, as she is still just this tiny little girl who's so excited to, her family coming together. She's like the most lovable thing throughout the entire movie. And then you see her as this full-grown adult that's
Still acting like this little,
girl,
like,
and it's so
6-year-old
cute.
girl.
She sees Santa and is like,
This is
she's
the
like, I've been
best.
such a good girl this
This is when
year."
she's
Yeah,
grown up
after
Shazam.
she saves Santa Claus, or the mall Santa, and then she, as the adult, says, "Yeah, by the way, I've been really good this year."
That mall Santa was one of the best big
Oh,
characters
yeah.
in that movie.
Oh, that-
I love that he kept showing up.
Yeah.
just like
Very
with
end.
his, yeah.
That's there were people. It was beep beep beep. Oh Jesus! Okay,
fucking
yeah, see the
hilarious.
movie. See the movie. It's really good. If you haven't seen it yet, and we've ruined it for you, go see it anyway.
They've probably, as of this point, they've probably seen it.
I hope you've seen it. I hope you've seen it by now.
We hope so.
If not, you're messing up.
We've already just
We're-
told you all the best parts.
I'm putting a time code in so that if people haven't seen the movie yet, they can skip to this part now.
So are you going to stop talking spoilers now?
I don't know.
Or
I think
when
we
you're done
should go-
talking spoilers anyway.
Do we have more spoilers to give about this movie?
There's going to be a sequel. I mean, we
oh,
saved
yeah,
the
for
credits. They showed that there's going to be a sequel.
Yep.
I liked. There was a scene that I felt was really cool. You had a little boy in his apartment in a high-rise building,
yeah.
and he's like got Batman in one hand and Superman in the other, and they're having a big fight. And at the very end, just before the big moment, he actually goes like this, and I thought he was going to say Martha for a second, but he crashes them together. And then all of a sudden he sees Shazam appear in his window, like flying in the air, looking all like powerful, and he just drops both Superman and Batman to the ground, which I thought was kind of a
And
cute
you know,
little-
Appropriate reaction.
The
That's an
homages-
appropriate reaction.
yes.
the homages that they kept paying to the fact that this is very much in the same universe as the rest of the
Yes.
DC universe,
Yes.
and they constantly talk about Superman and Batman as just everyday parts of the world.
Yep.
You know, they're very much not shy about saying, yeah, this is the
This
same
is
world
part
that
of
they
the
live in.
DC
Yeah.
continuity, yeah.
Yeah.
Like even like the reporters, like, oh yeah, now we have our very own superpowered hero.
But
in
here-
fact, Superman makes a cameo
Yeah.
at the very end.
Superman does make a cameo.
I mean,
again.
from the neck down.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
They couldn't pay to CG his mustache out for this movie.
We couldn't CG his mustache away, so we CG'd his face away.
The what is very
Good
interesting though, because obviously one of DC's staples is that all the different cities in DC universe are made up
Yes.
cities,
Yeah.
but
This one's
in
set in Philly.
Shazam, this was set in Philadelphia,
Yeah.
which is kind of an odd. And I didn't notice it at first. It didn't click with me, but it was our good friend Ted who was watching the movie with us, and he threw that one out there. I was like, geez, you're right. We got Philadelphia. This isn't Central City. This isn't this isn't Gotham. This isn't Metropolis. What's going on here? They actually have a real city.
Wasn't that always kind of the
Disneyland.
thing, though, that Gotham was supposed to be a major analog of New York? I mean, a hyper dramatized version of it, but
It was, but I mean, like, they didn't call it New York
They called it
specifically because
Gotham,
they
yeah.
wanted it to be fictional.
Right.
Just a thought. Thought I'd put my 2 cents out there.
So that was pretty cool. I also appreciated the fact that DC's willing to troll their other movies and characters with the extra scene at the
Yeah, that's really good.
at the very end.
Oh, with the when they bag on Aquaman a little
He's
bit.
like, bagging on Aquaman. It's like, really? You're gonna rip on your own character? That's actually kind of funny.
It was pretty good.
At least they're self-aware now.
The self-aware, exactly.
You know, if this is kind of...
I wonder what Momoa felt about that.
Oh, I'm sure he thought it was hilarious.
I thought, yeah, I'm sure. Momoa seems the kind of guy that would have got a chuckle out of that.
Yeah.
Besides, they're not really making fun of the Jason Momoa version of
It is
No.
saying
Let's
Aquaman
be
in
fair.
general.
It's very much the playback to like the classic like cartoon version of Aquaman, who's like riding on the
Useless.
back of dolphins and talking to fish.
Or seahorses,
Seahorses.
which he did.
Somehow they
They did that
they
in the
did
movie.
do that.
Yeah.
So,
Oh wait, they did?
yeah.
I didn't see that either.
Yep.
What are you doing?
Not going to see.
You gotta-
not going
you
to see
gotta see
movies.
movies.
He's
clearly.
reading the comics you're not reading, Tyler.
I
can't
admittedly
read.
saw Aquaman last night. In excitement of seeing
Oh, I saw it when it first came
Shazam,
out.
I actually was able to finally see it on Redbox. But
I saw Spider-Verse. Sorry.
Oh yeah, in the Spider-Verse. Yep. I still
Actually,
haven't seen that.
I actually
gotta
haven't
do
seen
it.
that one.
I do have a question here
Yeah.
for the
That's what I keep
panel,
hearing.
and that is, do you ever foresee the Shazam character truly appearing alongside the
Supes?
other, the other larger DC Universe characters in a movie?
Maybe.
I could see it happening, but they have to. I mean, they're already kind of revamping
They're
the entire.
completely revamping it. They're replacing Supes. They're replacing
Batman.
We got
Yep.
a new Joker altogether. Like,
I'm sure.
I think maybe, what's her name that plays Harley Quinn? I think she's staying on.
Margot Robbie.
Yeah, I think she's staying on, but they're switching out the Joker, obviously.
I
Yep.
heard they're switching up Deadshot too. Like
Yeah,
Will Smith's not
Will
coming back.
Smith isn't coming back, and I think it's actually he's doing other projects. That's what I heard.
Like Aladdin.
Yeah.
I think it's, maybe it's because we're looking at the DC universe that we know right now that they seem to be starting to gravitate away from. But, that character exists in stark contrast, the Shazam character, to the grim, the Zack Snyder movies. So, maybe going forward, I could see that character coexisting in this world.
Yeah, he wouldn't
Yeah.
fit in with Zack Snyder's world. No, not at
not.
all. But if they did it, if they took the DC characters and made a Justice League that was more in the vein of Avengers,
Yeah.
like you could totally see him fitting in like an Avengers movie. Like all of a sudden, this really powerful guy comes in, but he's acting like a child, and everyone's like, "What's up with this guy?"
Right.
Why is he?
I
Like
think they
acting like a
could. I
kid.
think they could do it within the confines of the current universe they have. Kind of move the old guard out quickly,
Yeah.
and bring in new characters. I heard rumors. This is old rumors. This has probably been debunked by now. But Michael B. Jordan was talking about maybe trying for Superman, which I thought would be really interesting.
Really?
Yeah.
Black Superman?
Yeah. Why not?
I was not aware of that.
I think that would get a lot of backlash from fans.
I don't know. We have an Oriental. Is that the correct term?
Yes, Oriental.
Oriental.
That's a rug.
It's okay.
Yeah.
That's a
We
rug.
don't love it.
Because I mean, I don't know what the actual
Asians?
ethnicity.
Oriental just means from the Orient, which is
I don't
kind of
know.
just like a vague description
Yeah.
of Asia.
The far eastern Asian kind of Superman. We have one of those.
But he's a completely different character, though.
Yeah.
Like
But
they
that's
do-
what I'm saying.
but
Is I
they
could
do-
see them bring, instead of trying to replace Clark Kent Superman, bring in an entirely different Kryptonian.
I would find that hard to believe that they do with Superman. I
they
could
have
see
that
them
with
doing
Steel?
that with like Green Lantern. I think that'd be easy to do like with John Stewart
Yeah.
replacing Hal Jordan. But the thing is, there's really never been a black Superman. You've mentioned Steel, but Steel actually was just like kind of filling in
Yeah.
for Superman while he was dead, and they
Right.
never actually. He wore the S
Yeah.
symbolically. As
For hope.
Yeah, because S.
S for hope.
It's not S apparently for Superman. It's S for hope because that's how we spell hope.
It just works out that his name is Superman.
When I was a little kid, I always thought that S looked like a snake. So I was just like, is he a bad guy?
S for snake.
Yes, he is.
He's a bad guy.
But they'd have to invent a whole another character for him
Yeah.
that currently doesn't exist in comic book form. So it'd only be in movie form, and I think it'd be hugely confusing.
I mean, they kind of did the same thing for him when he played Johnny Storm.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. And I mean that maybe
but Johnny
maybe
Storm-
that didn't hold up very well, but also that's because the property is owned by Fox, who just notoriously.
But also Johnny Storm
notoriously-
being like, you know, a cog in the Fantastic Four as opposed to being like the lead character of you know, a franchise.
Well, maybe we shouldn't give Soups the lead. Maybe you should take a
He's
backseat for a little bit.
Superman. He has to. He always does.
That's
why I don't like him.
He is the franchise.
Oh,
I'm not
like
saying
it or
that I
not.
wouldn't enjoy it. I would love to see Michael B. Jordan in a role of some sort. I would love to see him actually as Jon Stewart. I think that'd be
awesome.
fantastic casting for him.
I would actually, if we were going to cast a Jon Stewart, I would probably say, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I'm
Say it.
blanking on his name. He was in The Dark Tower. He was Heimdall.
Idris Elba.
Yes, Idris Elba. I would love to see
Heimdall.
Idris Elba.
He would be good.
He would be a perfect.
That
Jon.
would be a good casting.
Yeah. I would love to see that.
You bad man.
Anyways,
I can
So,
hope.
I think there's potential now for the DCEU.
so
And I'm excited to see what they're
Shazam.
gonna do with it.
Maybe we'll see Shazam in a future Justice League movie. Who knows? But anyway, great film. Go check it out.
It was enjoyable.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a fun movie.
And so DC, you get your props for this one. What else? Is there anything on the smaller screen that kind of
Not really.
wet the palate a little bit? Really?
Yeah,
You guys did. I know you don't want to talk too much about it, but you did watch a certain Netflix. Was it an anthology?
Yes.
kind
show?
of. Yep.
Yep.
It's same vein as like Black Mirror or Twilight Zone, Outer Limits of Old. I think Hulu also has something.
What is it called?
It is called
Death, Love, Robots.
Yeah, Death Love Robots. It's little short films, anywhere from, I think the shortest one is like 9 minutes.
Yeah, like 8 minutes long. Yeah.
And then the longest one is closer to like 18 to 20.
Yeah, 20 minutes, I think.
Yeah. And they are everything in the range of like deeply animated, like cartoony, to a little bit more closer to CGI. And then there is even, I think, at least one that is actually fully live action.
Live action, yeah. I think the Lucky 13 was mostly live action.
Yeah, it was very, very close to live action, if not slightly CG.
Yeah, I mean there was
It's-
CG in there for like the special effects, but you could tell like the actors were actually
Exactly.
actors.
But yeah, it's just interesting stories. Most of them dealing with some sort of like chaotic turn of events, people battling against all odds, and in many cases not coming out on top, but at least doing the damage to put the end to whatever was going on. But then there was also a couple quirky little things, like a couple of robots that are exploring a long deserted Earth and talking about the history of how different things work quite
That was
inaccurately.
hysterical.
Absolutely hilarious. And in the end, they end up getting taken control of by a large group of cats.
It was that one was the funniest.
It was one of my favorites.
One of the robots was called like Xbox like 3000.
Yeah.
And they're like walking around the ancient ruins of some city. They come across like a stand where it's like an Xbox 3, and they're like, "Hey, look, this could be like one of your like ancestors." He's like, "Say hi to your grandpa." Sorry.
It was good. It was definitely a fun film, but they were all like scared because they believed there was a story that said that once a cat begins to purr, if it ever stops, it will explode. And so
Okay.
they must pet the cat for all of eternity, and the cat's just like, yes, it is true. And all the cats just start appearing from like all the rafters above because they want good pets.
And the rationale behind this is that there was a game. One of the robots like looks it up. Is like, well, there was a game back in the day that was called Exploding Kittens. So, yeah, this story checks out. You better keep petting that kitten, or it's gonna explode on your lap.
As a person with a very large, potentially ornery cat, yes, if you stop petting it, he will explode with claws and teeth.
So there's a couple like little lighthearted
sounds
things
really
in
good.
there, but a lot of it, I mean, be
Lot of it's
ready.
dark.
Some dark
It's
stuff.
it's super violent, like graphically violent. There's like graphic sex scenes in it. Like it's very
Some of
much
them,
geared.
yeah.
It's very much an adult-oriented show, even though it is all animated. I did like how every episode had its own animation style, right?
Yes,
Like,
everything was entirely different from the animation, or of course the one live action. than any others. So it was definitely cool. It approached a bunch of different, like, kind of deep think kind of topics. One being, you watch the evolution of this. It's literally just a robot whose job is to clean the inside of a pool, and there's a blue stripe that goes around the edge of the pool. It's in, you know, a porcelain tile, and its whole world revolves around just keeping this clean. And eventually you watch as it evolves and slowly becomes this great, like, sentient human being that is like the greatest artist of all time, and eventually watch it then go back to its roots and become, you know, what it always was, because you could never create the most perfect art, which is, you know, that one perfect blue tile. And it's just the evolution of the story. You're starting off and you're like, all right, what's going on here? And you get a little bit more, and you get a little bit more, and you get a little bit more, and then it hits you, and you're like, wow, that's actually kind of profound.
Yeah, I think it's Black Mirror-ish in that way, where they have like usually some kind of like mind effery at the end, and most of the stories revolve around either sci-fi or like some supernatural horror, fantasy. So it's definitely right up in that nerd alley, and they're all really just well thought out. They're very thought provoking, the same way that Black Mirror does. Like you'll see some of these episodes, and they linger with you. Like not all of them. Some of them are very just like light-hearted kind of fun things, but some of them really they'll stay with you for a bit.
Yeah,
they'll haunt you
for a little bit.
How many episodes is it?
It's 18, I think.
Is it?
I believe it is 18.
Real easy watch.
Yeah.
I mean, you can blast through that in a couple of days.
They said the average runtime is like 10 to 12 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yep, they're quick little snippets.
So for me, like I remember I put on the first episode, which was with the telekinetic joined battle monsters, right?
Yes.
I remember just kind of watching in the background, and I couldn't really follow it, so I just kind of let it go. And then I think like it was like 3 episodes in, I came to one episode and just completely sucked me in. And like after that, I was completely just like hooked on the series. I couldn't stop watching it.
I think I sat down with my roommate, and we decided, oh, you know, check this out. We watched the first episode. We were kind of hooked. So we sat there, and we were off and on our phones and whatnot. But I think by like the 3rd, 4th episode, like our eyes are we're glued to the screen.
It's a weird visual.
You know, Bender screw out screen in his eyes.
Don't think too hard on that. Just accept it and move on.
Just take that and go.
Oh,
Glued to the screen is what I was trying to say.
well, that sounds interesting. So I have not caught that. Literally, a moment, because I could probably catch an episode in almost a moment.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's good. That's good because
About 10 minutes here or there, just watch an episode.
sometimes when I'm get home and I'm in front of that TV, I got about 10, 15 minutes before I just go. That's it. I'm done.
excited to see if they're gonna add more.
You know, I think this first season has gotten really good response. I would imagine that we'd see more of these coming out. Same kind of similar vein as Black Mirror. I think we'll see some more messed up stuff.
I haven't seen Black Mirror either, so
Worth watching.
yeah.
I've seen everything. There's some episodes that really get to you.
Yeah. Some of them, I mean, it depends on which one you watch. As I would actually skip the first episode because it is rather off-putting. There's the one where he has to screw the pig on live TV.
Oh yeah.
And like, if you like, that episode is not at all representative of the series. Yeah, you heard me correctly. It's not representative of the whole series as a whole, but it's like supposed to make like a social statement about like the impact of media. But they do it in a way where it's just super crass and super gross. But if you can get past that episode, the rest of them are actually a bit more thought-provoking than just like, I mean, that one's thought-provoking too, but it's a little more just crass.
They address everything from like the militarization of robots. They talk about
like social media on life.
The idea of like consciousness,
artificial
and
consciousness,
between artificial realms.
Eternal life.
Yeah, they play with all sorts of intense, and a lot of it revolves. You can almost see how it might all interconnect within one universe across the timeline. But then there are some that are just completely outside of what you've seen in other episodes. So there's definitely some really good stories. In
Yeah,
there.
I would recommend Black Mirror if you haven't seen it. We have a couple other things going on this month, right? We have Avengers obviously at the end of the month. That's the big thing. We have Game of Thrones coming back next week.
Couldn't care less. Wow. Don't
Really?
I do not like Game of Thrones.
Ah,
Okay.
I don't.
It's because Mark
Unpopular opinion, but I don't.
he doesn't like the fact that George R. R. Martin is anti-Tolkien.
I first of
Is
all,
that true?
I didn't know that was a thing. So this is actually news to me. This might make my disdain for it. The reason why I don't particularly care for Game of Thrones is because I feel like it is just shock and awe. I feel like it plays on people's desires to see something more audacious than what was in the last episode. And for that reason, I don't particularly care for it.
So you're speaking in terms of the actual television show, not the actual books.
I can't read.
You can read. Let's see.
I'm a very bad, very slow reader.
Well, how about audiobooks?
I do
You
listen to audiobooks.
Okay. So if you were to actually listen to the audiobooks or read the actual books, you would find that, yes, those elements are in the story, but they are not the focus of the story. Not at all. I mean,
I
television
got a
show,
couple of credits on Audible, so maybe I'll toss
It's
a few
more of a
out.
political drama set in a fantasy world. Like that's
absolutely.
that's a lot of it. It's a big.
Oh, I agree with it. I have.
HBO.
I can't say what I have coined it to be on
Yeah.
here because it does utilize some language that
Yeah.
is not appropriate for all ages.
Uh-huh.
But that politics being part of my assessment for why I don't like it is definitely a thing.
Okay. Yeah. That's fair.
I'll explain when the cameras are off.
Okay.
I'm totally excited for it to come back.
I am one season behind. My interest in the show at this point is to see, because we've progressed beyond Martin's books. And, I'm impatient. And I want to see where they think the story was going to go. Now, because I know that Martin is preparing himself, he said will not mirror what is in the television show, which is actually kind of cool.
Which I like
Yeah.
that, yeah.
He's going to still continue on with his plan, and but I want to see what the show's creators had in store for these characters, and the political intrigue in this show, and in the books in particular, is so layered.
Yeah.
It is so.
So intricate. It's really
intricate, yeah.
like a living, breathing world with history and pieces and places that feel very real.
It really is. It really is, and that's why I think I can look past, I think the HBO definitely went for the shock and awe. I do agree.
Yeah.
I did see the
when
first
you're-
season, and I was excited at the end of the first season to see more.
Yeah.
I didn't get an opportunity to watch anything after that until about 3 seasons later. And at that point, everything that I had heard from a lot of the people that I'm very close to love the show. I've watched every episode, and they tell me about it in depth because I don't mind
Yep.
spoilers. And everything I keep hearing, it's just like, I feel like they're sacrificing good storytelling for.
So I'm guessing that the people that tell you the stuff that happens are telling you about like the big set pieces that happen, like the main battles or like the big crazy murders. But really, for me, like the best moments in Game of Thrones is literally where it's just like 3 people sitting in a room and they're just like discussing random stuff about life, they're like philosophizing about power, about what it means to rule. And they have some of the most intriguing dialogue and just interesting characters. And these characters are so nuanced, and like they actually have, you can see how the characters develop based on who they are, what they've experienced, and you watch them evolve. Like we were talking earlier about like how you didn't like that Captain Marvel's character didn't really have any evolution of her character arc. The characters in Game of Thrones, their arcs are insane. Like you go from a character that in season 1, Jaime Lannister.
Yep.
Despise him. Like, this guy's freaking despicable.
Oh yeah.
Slowly over the course of like 6 or 7 episodes, you're rooting for this guy. Like, this guy has suddenly become like the hero of the story.
Which is outrageous to even think, because if you watch the first season, you're like, oh my god, this
This
guy's
guy's
a
irredeemable.
degenerate,
Yeah.
irredeemable degenerate. Like,
There's nothing about this guy that has anything good, any
no.
semblance of good.
no,
But then, like, just slowly through like stories that he tells that kind of like flesh out his motivations and why he acts the way he does, and then from other characters that kind of force him to actually expose his true self, you start seeing these glimmers of like goodness in him, and he keeps forcing him to do good stuff until like finally at the end, he's still done stuff that's irredeemable. But
Yeah.
I think most of the characters in that show have. But at the same time, you're able to move past
Yeah.
it because he's finally going in the right direction, the
Right.
path that you want to root. You want to root for him,
yeah,
and it's
they're all varying shades of gray.
I was
Yes.
just going to say that.
Characters.
Like, it's a world where there's really no good or evil. There's just people.
people just doing
Yep.
stuff. Like
It's
they're
people
making
living and people doing things.
they're making a decision between what is right and what's right by them,
Yeah.
or right by those that they love, and they're put in these impossible situations where any decision they make is going to have negative impact for somebody.
That's right.
And it's just who do they decide with. But anyways, I love I love the show, obviously, and I'm excited about this last season. I think the problem now is that with so little time left, there's really not going to be any way that they end it satisfactorily.
I think that's with any show that, if you look at historically, any show that's been gained a massive following,
Yeah.
has always been left wanting at the end.
Yeah.
I mean, it happened with The Sopranos.
Yep.
Never watched The Sopranos, didn't care, but I know it had a huge following, and that's what I heard universally. Lost was another one. That one I did follow, and people were just so upset at the end.
How I Met Your Mother. Most
No,
disappointing ending.
Did they finally meet figure out how they met the mother?
Oh my gosh. The whole last season breaks down exactly how they met, and it's basically the build up to their wedding. To not their wedding, to Barney and Robin's wedding. It's like the whole series of the last season. The whole last season, I gotta learn how to talk, is about the wedding and him and Casey, how they basically finally do meet and discover like how close they were to like truly meeting throughout the entire series, and then they finally get to the point where they're together, and then they kill her. They just kill her. And it turns out the whole reason why Ted's even telling his kids this whole long story about how he met their mother was so that basically he could get it off his chest, like the loss of his wife that has, now that is the past. And they come to the revelation, the kids, they come to the revelation that this isn't about how he met their mother, it's about how he met Robin, and that he's in love with Robin, and that he should be with Robin. And then he calls Robin up, shows up at her house with the blue French horn, like in the first episode, and that's the end. He's with Robin. And I'm like, no! She's the worst person to be with! She's wrong for you!
Thank you for saving me a lot of time.
Don't watch
I wasn't
it.
gonna watch.
It's so...
I'm not gonna watch that. That sounds
I never
horrible.
watched the show, so I am.
I loved the
No, the
show.
first season was
through.
I haven't watched a lot of it, but I did watch the first season. I thought it was really charming, funny, and like it had a really good hook.
And when you find out that the mother is perfect for him, like all the character flaws, everything that you learn about Ted throughout, she matches them perfectly. She is his perfect other half. Like, that they're meant to be together because of just how perfectly interconnected they become right in the end. And then she dies, and Robin refills that void like 1,000 times before, where it fell apart because she's not right for him.
But in the end, she was. Apparently.
No, he wasn't.
No,
He's
she
just
was
lonely
just there.
because his wife is dead.
Okay, good old standby.
All right.
Although, Barney, cutest thing ever. You know how he's kind of a 1 second, I'm sorry, guys. You know, he's like kind of like a pig throughout the entire series.
Like he's a playboy. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He, of course, gives all that up when he decides he wants to marry Robin.
Uh-huh.
Their marriage doesn't last, but he does end up getting somebody pregnant. And during that last, I believe it was actually in the last episode as well, but it was towards the end of the last season for sure. He gets to meet his daughter, and like that, he's a completely different person. Like everything that he used to do to try and get a woman, he now tries to keep her away from. Like he just like there's a line. Maybe I'll have to look it up on YouTube for you afterwards because I can't even remember it perfectly. But he says this line to this woman, and you get it in one context. But then he meets his daughter, and he sees the same exact thing, and now this new context. You realize the immediate change in his character, realizing that now he's got this young woman that is his flesh and blood, that he has to take care of, that he has to protect from people like him. And it's just like everything that was like kind of gross about his character up to this point is now completely
It's way
just
disgusting.
like, you're just like, wow, like completely shifted. Anyway, sorry, we weren't supposed to be talking about How I Met Your Mother, but that was the only good part of the ending of it. Sorry.
That topical show, How I Met Your Mother.
Really on the pulse.
One I
this
will never
month.
watch.
No worries, it's all good.
All apologies to the fans out there. I will say this. I'm not going to talk about it because these guys haven't watched it. But one to skip on Netflix, The Order. Campy garbage.
Is it?
Think Twilight.
I like
sweet. Twilight.
Oh, well then you guys would love it. You guys should watch it.
You gotta get me some of that.
Wait,
Kristen
Twilight
Stewart.
Zone or Twilight?
No, not Twilight Zone.
Oh.
Twilight Zone's classic. No, Twilight.
Actually, I did
Kristen
start.
Stewart.
Oh, I've seen
Robert
him.
Pattinson, is it? Pattinson?
Hey, he's a good actor.
Patterson?
Patterson? Maybe. Anyway.
He's done some good stuff.
Yeah.
Taylor Lautner, actually, I'm
The
becoming
Order
a
is-
big Taylor Lautner fan.
The Order is just not that good, so I don't know. I would say
He was
stay away from it.
the werewolf.
Uh,
Yeah. To watch Ridiculous 6 and then watch
Watch our
Cuckoo.
B-roll for talk on Twilight now. And Tyler Lautner, the Tyler Lautner fan club.
no, we're gonna have a whole other episode after this.
Tyler Lautner is Tyler's self-insert fanfiction character. Don't let him fool you.
I'm sorry, but like I'm watching the development of his acting from like his first, like I think it's his debut role in Shark Boy and Lava Girl, and then seeing him now in like Cuckoo and in Ridiculous 6, like he just stopped taking himself seriously, and he has just, it's perfect, it's beautiful. He just doesn't care anymore, and it's
I mean,
great.
can he take himself seriously anymore after working in Twilight?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
seriously?
I think that's why he
Pretty much
stopped
like the
taking
end of the
himself.
line.
Like I think he realized that he's just not like this hardcore, like tough actor. And then ironically, he comes out as like this goofy, like just kind of like crazy fun guy, and he still does action with that personality, and it works better than his
So
brooding.
he's like a good-looking Seth Rogen?
kind of, yeah, a little bit, a little bit.
We did not kill Jesus. We did not do that.
Oh, gosh. All right. Well, that's all we have for you this month. And you're probably thanking God for that right now. So next month, probably.
Maybe next month I'll stay on topic. Maybe.
Maybe.
Tyler, who are you kidding? No, you won't.
No, I like.
Nah.
I like
That's all right.
going
It's
off
part of
topic.
our charm, isn't it? Right? Wouldn't you say?
I don't know if you'd call
Kind
it
of
charm.
charming, right?
Charmed? That was a good series.
Charm. There we go. Let's start that ball rolling now. All right, anyway, so thank you very much for watching. Remember to like, comment, and share.
Yep.
And maybe you'll own Wonder Woman. Could happen. Anyway,
Wow.
we look forward to the next time we get to entertain you. So that's it for now. Signing off. Have a good one.
we can entertain you. You make it sound so lewd.